are formidable.
I've waited for this moment.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. A revealing caption from two-weight world champion Kim Clavel of Canada detailing her current situation 2 years ago. I was heartbroken, a heartbreaking defeat, such a close fight, and 1,000 doubts that followed. Then I chose to stay, to work, to believe, even when it was blurry, leaning on my team. 4 battles to rebuild myself, to regain my place one step at a time. Through it all, life has surprised me. Love walked into my life. I've traveled, grown, learned to breathe differently, and about today, a little over 26 weeks pregnant, the dawn of becoming a mom. 2 years, 2-time world champion, and soon, the greatest role of my life. Like what? Even. When everything seems to be falling apart, if we remain patient, persevere, work hard while letting go of what we can't control, life can become even more beautiful than we imagined. I was wondering where she went after having become a 2-weight world champion and debuting under the MVP banner, sporting a professional record of 22 wins with 2 losses and no draws. 3 recorded knockouts, having never been knocked out in 24 professional bouts. She's pregnant. She's with child. And that explains it. Last in action in September of last year, opposite the ring, then IBF champion Sol Kudos, who she decisioned to become IBF champion herself. She fought 2 times last year. Once against former champion Annabelle Ortiz in February, then again in September, the last time we saw her. And what was her first and only fight under the MVP banner since having joined that promotion. Obviously, the pregnancy is going to keep her out of commission for the foreseeable future, and if it takes too long for her to come back, the fighters in line to challenge for the blue belt are Argentina's Maria Baumstar, ranked at number 1, unbeaten up-and-comer of the United States, Guadalupe Medina, ranked at number 2, ranked at number 3, Yadiria Bustillos. Any one of those 3 fighters could end up fighting for Kim Clavel's title if Kim Clavel is relieved of her champion status. And she might be, because we know the IBF are sticklers for their rules and stringent about their mandatories. Not only that, it's entirely possible that having become a 2-weight world champion in her last fight and on the eve of becoming a mother, Kim Clavel packs it up, packs it in, and retires. I'm not saying that she's going to, but I am saying that it's possible because a fighter much younger than she is, in Spain's own Tania Alvarez. Yeah, she announced her retirement from the sport of boxing earlier today. Bear in mind, this kid never even won a world title. The furthest she made it was EBU champion. So that Kim Clavel, having actually competed at world level and won alphabet titles in 2 separate weight classes, her retiring is not outside the realm of possibility, like what we saw with Tina Ruprecht. When she became a 2-division champion, she decided to walk away. She was with child. She retired. Kim could as well. Kim Clavel, one of 3 reigning champions in the minimum weight division. Sarah Bormann of Germany, unified champion, holding the WBA and WBO titles. And of course, Kim Clavel's MVP stablemate, Yo Costa Valle, currently holding the WBC title. Not having to worry about making fights for Kim, unification matches, the people at MVP can now shift their focus over to Yo Costa, make unification matches for her, namely the Sarah Bormann fight, that would get Yo Costa 3 alphabet titles in one fell swoop. Her own green and gold title, and of course, Sarah Bormann's WBA and WBO titles, bringing Yo Costa at least one step closer to undisputed. In the absence of Kim Clavel and not having to make fights for her for the foreseeable future, they can make fights for Yo Costa. Think she's gonna retire? Well, think about Senicia Estrada, another fighter who decided to walk away from the sport unexpectedly. Her retirement after having become undisputed champion, well, it surprised a lot of people. It surprised me. And you know what she decided to do after that? She decided to have a kid, just like Kim Clavel is about to, so that when you're talking about the women boxers, you do have to remember that they're women and their biological clocks are ticking. They don't have forever like the men to decide to start a family. Now, Kim is currently 35 years old. Not too old to push out a kid, take a break, then come back at maybe 36 or 37, though coming back at that age after having become a mom, it is pushing it, though it is
impossible.
It can be done because it has been done. So we'll see what happens and what doesn't. Congratulations to Kim Clavel on the upcoming addition to her family that has left me questioning whether or not she's gonna box again. In men's heavyweight news, former cruiserweight champion and well-traveled Murat Gassiev would not hesitate to fight Itauma on UK soil. Gassiev won the WBA regular heavyweight title in December when he stopped former title holder Kubrat Pulev with a crunching left hook in the 6th in Dubai. The 32-year-old has been back in training for the past month with a view to make the first defense of the strap in June or July. Itauma, the ring's number 7 heavyweight, is currently the mandatory challenger for Gassiev's belt. Itauma's handlers at Queensbury have struggled to secure opponents for the fast-rising star, but Gassiev says they do not need to look further than him.
Yeah, I could see that because Murat Gassiev's not going to be worried about judges or dodgy-looking scorecards since most of his fights are taken out of the judges' hands. Like the Kubrat Pulev fight.
Of course I would fight him, the Russian told the ring. Why not? I am the champion. Here is a challenger. Me and all the other real fighters are here for real fights. I never run from anyone. I'm ready for anybody, anywhere. All I need is an opponent, a referee, my team, and I'm ready to go. Gassiev has emerged as a heavyweight road warrior, with his last 7 fights taking place in 6 different countries. But while that tour took him to Dubai, the United States, Armenia, Turkey, Russia, and Serbia, he's never boxed in the UK, but he's ready to pack his bags for England to face Itauma in his first defense. I would love to have that fight in the UK because it's a dream of mine to have a fight there, he said. I love the UK, the boxing fans there, the atmosphere.
Murat Gassiev, the politician, pandering to the Brits, wise to do so because the UK has fast become one of the most fertile markets, arguably more fertile than the United States, for boxing. Thus, it's not uncommon to hear fighters now from all around the world, anywhere from the United States to Russia, saying it's always been their dream to box in the UK.
I want to experience everything there. Your people, your food, your mentality, your sex. And I also want to go and watch soccer. I support Real Madrid, but I'd love to watch Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool, all the big games. First, Itauma has to take care of Jermaine Franklin when they meet at Manchester's Co-op Live Arena at the end of this month. The pair had been scheduled to fight in January, but a bicep injury for Itauma forced a 2-month postponement. Itauma is an overwhelming favorite to dispatch the durable Franklin in style, but Gassiev is not sure it will be so straightforward. I don't know what will happen in this fight because Franklin is not an easy opponent, he said. He has good boxing skill. He's not a fake boxer. He's a real fighter. And for sure, he'll give a very hard fight for Moses. On the 21-year-old from Chatham, Kent, Gassiev added, I haven't watched a lot of his fights. Only some short videos and highlights, but I know he's a young fighter who is very talented and strong. With good power, he has a good future because he has a good promoter, a good team, and a good coach. We'll see what happens. Is it too soon for him to fight me? We can only answer this after the fight. Mike Tyson became champion when he was very young, so you never know. Only after the fight we can say if it's too early or too late.
The last year and a half, I want to say, there's been this sort of active effort to attach Moses Itauma's name to the name of Alexander Usyk that I felt was far too soon. Frankly, I don't think a fight between them is going to materialize. I actually like this fight a lot better for Moses Itauma. Murat Gassiev would service as a common opponent between them. Not that I expect them to fight, because I don't.
I like the run of fights that Moses Itauma's on, from Dillian White to Jermaine Franklin, to a former champion in Murat Gassiev, albeit a cruiserweight champion who's been campaigning as a heavyweight for roughly 8 fights and 6 years now, following his decision loss to Alexander Usyk.
He used to be trained by Abel Sanchez in those days. I think the fight with Usyk was the final fight where Abel Sanchez was in his corner. I don't know who trains him now. I can remember in that fight how frustrated Abel Sanchez was as Usyk quite easily outboxed Murat Gassiev, out-hustled him, just stepping around him and staying busy, not allowing him to enter the pocket where Murat Gassiev does his best work. Murat, for as hard a puncher as he is, as dangerous, he has very, very slow feet.
Cement blocks!
So you can see how that would make him a dangerous, albeit limited fighter, that he's limited to boxing within close quarters, but he's got very slow feet, so it takes him a while to get there. Thus, a lot of the time, his best bet to land a hard shot is in the exchange, if the guy's willing to trade.
That's how it was in the Kubrat-Pulev fight. In case your memory doesn't serve you, Kubrat-Pulev was winning those early rounds off his lead, off of his jab, moving and punching, and Murat couldn't get to him. It's not until the old timer started to slow down.
Became a little bit more stationary, letting a few punches go. He got caught in between with a hard, well-placed left hook. That's where Murat Gassiev is most dangerous, if you're dumb enough to trade punches with him. He throws very, very short hooks.
Now, the silver lining for Moses Itauma in a potential Murat Gassiev fight is you can see almost immediately Moses has very good feet. Good foot placement and agility. He's light on his feet, not cement-footed, like Murat.
He'd have to box him.
Move around, use his lead, keep him out, and careful not to string too many punches together, as that's what Murat relies upon to land punches in between. Land counters, and what makes it even more intriguing is Moses is inexperienced.
That's what he's getting now. Experience.
That if he goes into a fight with Murat Gassiev, Murat would be the more experienced fighter of the two. Not a particularly big heavyweight, not necessarily physically imposing in terms of size, but in terms of strategy, in terms of styles. He's a pressure fighter.
He's physically imposing that way, that the entirety of the fight, he's gonna try to get in close.
You gotta shake and bake him. You gotta stay on your toes to keep him out and keep pumping out that jab, and don't get greedy with your speed, your combinations. This would be the ideal fight for Moses, provided that he makes his way past Jermaine Franklin in a little over a week's time, and I think that he's going to. Murat Gassiev is not a guy you gotta break the piggy bank to get him to do anything. I don't view this as a particularly expensive fight to make for Queensberry, who undoubtedly would be at the helm of the promotion. They would bill this as a regular fight, as part of a regular schedule. You can't bill this as a pay-per-view.
They billed the Dillian White fight as a pay-per-view.
They did, but Dillian White at least had some residual marquee value in the United Kingdom that they were looking to capitalize on. You can't do that at all with Murat Gassiev. It's a great fight for the hardcores who remember Murat from the World Boxing Super Series and have been keeping up with him over the years that followed, though it hasn't been easy.
He hasn't been on any of the major platforms you're used to watching boxing matches like DAZN or Sky.
And you see that he's been on the road for 6 of his last 7 fights, thus keeping up with his boxing career would take some effort that you would only get from the hardcores, whereas the casuals, they probably won't know him, so you can't bill this as a pay-per-view. It would be a regular fight.
Now, in that same division on a much larger scale, Tyson Fury confirms the biggest fight in world boxing with Anthony Joshua is possible after the Makhmudov fight.
Of course it is. That's the fucking fight what brought him out of retirement. Former 2-time heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury has confirmed that he can fight long-term domestic rival Anthony Joshua if he can take care of business against Makhmudov early next month on the 11th. Fury will have to handle the towering Russian and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium ahead of any potential matchup. Makhmudov comes off of a unanimous decision win against Dave Allen in Sheffield last October. It will be Fury's first fight in 16 months, over a year, after he went into temporary retirement following back-to-back defeats to Oleksandr Usyk.
Anyone who would have seen Makhmudov's fight with Dave Allen would not have been impressed with Makhmudov. He won, but he didn't do it in good fashion.
What makes a Fury showdown intriguing is that Fury's been out of commission for over a year, so might be a bit rusty. It was reported by Gareth A. Davies last week that Fury and Joshua had agreed to a fight later this year, but the journalist quickly walked back his comments on TalkSport, where he had said the fight was signed. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn quickly refuted that the fight was agreed. However, Fury has come out to give a big indication that an all-British clash could finally become a reality this year.
Listen, I don't need to hear it from Gareth A. Davies or have it confirmed by Eddie Hearn to know that this is what brought Fury out of retirement. This fight still pays out an obscene amount of money, enough that Fury will be willing to do it.
If the fight is there to be made, let's get it done, Fury said in an interview with Sky Sports. Let me get Makhmudov out of the way, and then we are on like Donkey Kong. Joshua was involved in a fatal car crash last December in Nigeria, where 2 of his team members lost their lives. The Olympic gold medalist had recently come off of a 6th-round knockout win against social media star turned boxer Jake Paul, where Joshua had begun a new working relationship with Igor Golyub and many of Oleksandr Usyk's training team. Joshua has recently rejoined the same team at its Valencia-based training camp, but no fight date has been announced. Currently, he's in the Ukraine with Team Usyk, taking in the sights and sounds and immersing himself in not only their culture, but their training habits, hoping that some of Oleksandr Usyk's razor-sharp focus will rub off on him. Fury and Joshua were scheduled to fight while they held the undisputed titles between them in early 2021. However, despite both parties announcing a 2-fight deal to take place later that year, Fury was forced to pull out due to contractual obligations to finish a trilogy with Deontay Wilder. The biggest fight in the world of boxing is me versus AJ, Fury added. Even today, even after all these years, it's still the biggest fight in boxing. In my opinion, there is no other fight. Fury's comeback against Makhmudov joins a busy heavyweight schedule over the next few weeks. A week prior, Derek Chisora welcomes Deontay Wilder to London. Fabio Wardley will defend his WBO title against Daniel Dubois on May 9th, and Oleksandr Usyk defends his WBC title against kickboxing legend Rico Verhoeven. The pyramids at Giza in Egypt. Tyson Fury has to have been breathing a sigh of relief when he saw that Anthony Joshua would not retire after that horrific car accident, that he would continue, because let's be honest, if the guy decided to get off the couch and get back in the ring, it wasn't really for a Arslanbek Makhmudov fight, or even a Fabio Wardley fight. That is a decent-sized fight, but nowhere near as big as a Joshua showdown. That's the one with all the backstory. That's the one.
There's talk of them doing it on Netflix, and if they do, it instantly becomes a global event on pay-per-view. It's a big fight. It's a big fight that the Brits mostly would buy, but on Netflix it becomes something else.
Something more.
And what would be Anthony Joshua's second appearance on the platform, despite his exclusivity deal with DAZN, fighting on Netflix kicks out so much money that they actually let him do it. For the Jake Paul fight, the Tyson Fury fight would be even bigger. So, push comes to shove, I expect that to happen again.
Who wins the fight?
Hard to say. With Fury ending a 16-month layoff against a very big, very aggressive guy, we've got to see how Fury looks, and not just him. We got to see how AJ looks the next time that he fights against someone hopefully a bit more serious than little old Jake Paul.